With the Allies project, I'd like to introduce one of the exemplary community development program from Korea. As you know, Korea, after the Korean War, was the poorest nation in the world. But within 60 years, Korea became one of the 13th largest economy in the world. And how we were able to, overcome our poverty is one of the key initiatives is the Saemaul Undong, Saemal movement. So we have a privilege to have the secretary of Saemaul Undong Center. So I'd like to introduce the next presenter, Mr. Myung Soo Cho. He's the Secretary General of the Saemaul Undong Center and also Chairman of the Board of Directors of Han River Forum and Secretary General of the International Leaders Union. He previously served as a Vice Governor of Gangwon Provincial Government and the Senior Secretary for Government Reform in the Office of the President of Korea. He is also recipient of the Prime Minister's Achievement Awards and the Medal for Merit from the President of Korea. Please welcome Mr. Myung Soo Cho.
Thank you. I'm very happy and honored to be here with you to present the special case of community development which took place during 1970s in Korea. I was a government official of Korea for 31 years, and later I moved to UN as a director of UN Project Office on Governance for 2 years. So when I moved to UN, I realized that the one of the projects which I was responsible when I was very young as a government official in Korea was a very unique case in community development. So probably I believe that this experience can be a very good lesson for most of developing countries who want to develop their community. Let's start from talking about the ODA and poverty. So just like this diagram, from 1960 to 2008, the ODA is the international aid between the developed country and then developing country. So it's free money given by donor country, mostly developed country. So it has been increasing very sharply during these 50 years, almost more than 26 times. However, this is another picture that the sub-Saharan African country, in terms of share of global economic activity in per capita terms, has been decreasing, in contrast with increasing international aid. So I think we have to find out what is the problem in here, and then what should you do to get out of this situation. Okay, let me talk about some other examples about MDGs. We have 8 goals in MDGs, but international organizations evaluation tells us that actually 6 of MDG goals cannot be achievable until year 2015. So actually this is a tremendous international effort to develop these poor countries. So we have to think about, again, what is the problem in here, and then what should you do to get out of poverty. So let me introduce the Korean case. So we start Saemaul Undong in 1970. In 4 years, the farm household income surpassed that of the urban household income. There was actually a dramatic change which took place during 4 years. And at the same time, the Korea, which we can compare from 1961 to year 2010, shows a remarkable economic progress. Compared to other developing countries, this is a really sensational phenomenon. So I want to tell you about Korean experience through this special community development case. And then probably I'm expecting that we can learn some of the lessons from this unique case. What was the basic factors of Korean economic progress? So let me talk about Saemal Undong. So basically, the concept of Saemal Undong is that it's a movement for new community. So it's not a rural development project. It's not a project for individual farmers. So the basic unit of project is community. And then, because the community people have some powers to make its decision what to do and how to do, then they can do whatever they want to do. So maybe, about education, about cultural facilities, about the social infrastructure, so they can do whatever they want to do. Let me talk about a little bit about social background in 1970s. The Korean government started 5-year term economic plan from 1961. So after 2 times of successful economic development project, then there has been growing economic disparity between rural area and then urban area in Korea. So late President Park thought that this might create huge problem in Korean society, so something has to be done. So, yeah, this is a striking difference between those 2 areas in 1970. So in 1970, late President Park announced launch of Saemaul Undong at the Mayors and Governors Conference in Busan. And he said, without voluntary initiative of village people, your community cannot stand on your own feet. If you have self-reliant spirit, you'll be able to become independent with least support from government. So there is everything in his remarks about Saemal Undong. So he is talking about mindset of the community people, and then it should be a community project rather than the individual farmers. Okay, First Korean government did was, actually they handed out 330 packs of cement to every community, every village. Actually, village people do not ask to provide anything, but government just handed out. And then ask the village people, okay, elect your leaders, men and women. And then discuss what to do and how to do with this material. And the next thing the government did was actually, in order to change the mindset of the community people, they organize huge training programs for government employees, and then the community leaders, and then eventually to the leader of private sector as well, to change the mindset of the people that its core spirit is diligence, self-help, and cooperation. And then the basic principle is do not ask community people to do something. Instead, let the people make a decision on their own project, whatever it will be, with this material. And then government just supports in terms of the material or technology or financial resources after community make decision. So at the initial stages, most of community people are interested in renovate their community infrastructure, just like roads or wells or their housing or something like that. But later, they are more interested in enhancing community economy. So actually, government don't ask people to do this and this, but it's their decision. Okay? So this project was decided by the community people themselves, and then they have to pay something for this project as well. So usually, government will give the subsidy for 30%, and another 50% will be a government loan with a very low interest, so that communities pay back. And then other 20%, they have to pay for this project. So if the community people do not have any money, then they have to provide the labor instead, because it's their project. But after this initial project, the very important change took place in this rural village. So the mindset and attitude of the community people while they're doing this initial community project has been changed. So they realized that they can do it. So that was just right after Korea, and everything was devastated by the war. And then nothing left. So usually in the springtime, when they ran out of the food they harvest in the fall, they do not have anything to eat. So actually, especially rural area, they cannot have any hope in the future. But when they first organized this community project, the community people realized that they can do it when they work together with the community people. So this is, I think, is a huge change in the mindset of the people. So they do not wait until government come to their community to help them. And then they have mindset that they can plan and manage and develop their community. So after first year of this project, these community leaders came to the district office or mayor's office asking more support is needed. Actually, this is the first time that the community leaders come to the administrative office to ask for supports for the community project. I think this is a huge change in their mindset and attitude. And then government is focusing on incentives, competition, and expansion strategy. During the 1971 to 78, every village can have 2,100 packs of cement for their project. So at the initial stages of this Saemaul Undong, government usually provide material rather than the financial resources. So during 1971 to 75, in average, 2.6 kilometers of community roads was paved by community people. So they can have more cultivators. For example, during 1970 to 76, it increased 0.5 per village to 26 per village. So they can have a better productivity. So in terms of electricity, there has been a dramatic change. So usually this was government responsibility, but community people was asking, we have to have electricity in our community. So government was asking, okay, you have to do the same thing. If you do have some matching fund in your community, then we can just support you, okay? So there has been a dramatic increase in electricity as well. As for the food, one of the main food of Korean is rice. Then Korean government is adopting a new rice, which guarantees high yielding. So we can have enough rice, and then we don't need to import rice from some other countries at the time. And then in terms of farm household income, so in 1970 it was 824 US dollars. In 1977, 7 years later, it increased to 2,961 US dollars. So show a remarkable increase in farm household income. So this is the picture at the time that all the community people are coming out to organize their own project. So I can say that there has been, huge interaction between the local community and then the government, that especially due to the strong emphasis on education to change the mindset of the community people was very effective. And then government guaranteed the community ownership in the project. So they never intervene in any decision making of the community to decide what to do and how to do. And then usually government role is centered in supporting this local community's project. And then they provide some kind of incentives and competition strategy. So one of the important factors is actually the community empowerment strategies. Government ensure the autonomous decision making of the community people, and then at the same time, that community people is willingly take share of the financial burden, and then because it's their project and their decision, so community people will voluntarily participate in those projects. I think the most important factor is the change of mindset, okay? So as I told you, that government people realize that they can do it, okay? They can get out of the passive mindset, helpless mindset, and then the diligence and self-help cooperation really become the principle of this community project, so which will improve the will to fight against poverty. Okay, so let me tell you about the typical project which has been done by the international organization. So I don't want to name the name of the organization, but one time I just watched a TV program. It was the documentary program about international organizations project in some Southeast Asian countries. So some steps of international organization came to some community in Southeast Asian country together with the government officials to find out what is their need. And then finally, after the making tour of those communities, they decided that the water is the main problem in terms of drinking water or farming. So they decided to make a small dam in those communities, and then they go back to their office and they make a draft and then prepare everything for this project. The one step is bring those plans and money and come back to the community, and then asking community people to get together. And they made a presentation. Then this step said that we are going to make a small dam in your community. So tomorrow, if you come to the site and work for this project, we can give you some allowance. So after some months, the dam was established there. So as they originally aimed, that it was very helpful for community people to have the water for drink and the water for farming. The project was perfect. But what I'm arguing about is, after finishing this project, what kind of change took place in the mindset of those community people? Okay? If they have any idea about their future, about organizing another community project by themselves, then although this program was really excellent, but I think something is missing over here. Okay? So I say most of the development project, especially community development project by international society, does not have this change in the community. So through this Saemaul Undong, I think we can think about two main factors of success. One is we have to change the mindset of the community people to get out of poverty. We have to let them realize that they can do it. It is them, not we, who have to fight against poverty. The second one is we have to give full ownership to the community people to organize their own project. So these two factors, I think, can make huge change in a developing country. So I have some of the pictures over here. In some of the developing countries, especially Uganda, they are making a really good project right now. When they come to Korea, they just learn how to organize their own community project. Okay, thank you very much.